IVC, Dale Gatefold 33, back with another video. And this is I think it's a contest entry, might be a thread entry for Gordon over at iDig Vinyl. Gordon's it's a contest, I think. Yeah, Gordon's got this contest going to push to 500 subs. When I last looked, I think it was 496 or something, so I'm assuming he's past that by the time I've got round to recording this response, this entry. So we've been asked to create our ideal festival, and so for me, I've decided that I've been given the honour, shall we say, of curating this festival by Chris Blackwell at Island Records. So I am going to call it the Island Festival, celebrating Island Records and the artists who have put music out on the Island Records label, held on an island. So we've got Jamaica lined up. That's the number one choice, and that's kind of got the artists interested. There's been quite a lot of challenge in getting everyone onto the roster, but Jamaica is booked, but with the kind of dodgy global travel crisis and not knowing how that's going to go, we have got a backup. I also got the clubhouse at Hayling Island Golf Club booked, and so that's our backup plan. So it could be there. So many artists on Island Records, such an eclectic mix of music that I've not been able to limit this to one day. So we've got a sort of lunchtime into the night on the Friday. We're going to have a tent, create quite a kind of quite an atmosphere, of kind of, I don't know, of a folk jazz club, and we're going to have a bit more of the sort of acoustic, jazzier, chilled vibe going on the Friday, and that's going to be quite a limited audience of a few hundred. And I've asked the golf club as a backstop. We are able to put a tent up on the 18th green. Greenkeeper wasn't happy, but bit of cash and we're okay. So that's going to be the Friday, and I'll come into the lineup for that. And then Saturday, full stage. We've got some of the bigger sort of staged acts with a bit more amped up music going on, which I also get into. So let's talk about Friday. So, and some artists I've not been able to get hold of. Bono said, unfortunately, U2 are out. They're saving the world. Cat Stevens is busy. I wouldn't have probably got either of them on the list. I don't think they would have made the cut, but don't tell them. But we might have a few guest appearances, so The Edge may come along and jam on the odd track. So if there isn't one of your favorite Island Records label artists here, don't worry, they could still appear supporting one of the other acts throughout the 2 days. So there's still a chance there. So Friday, we're going to start off with Island Records originated from reggae. So although these are British acts, we're going to start off with a collab of Aswad Pulse. So Aswad Pulse are going to kick us off, and they said that they're going to do a bit more of their kind of elongated, chilled jams just to get the vibe going. Then we've got Mr. John Martin, and he's promised that he might play the entirety of Bless the Weather, which is possibly my favourite John Martin album. And because John's promised to come along, that has encouraged Nick, because Nick was very, very hesitant, but Nick has said that he'll come along and perform. So we're hoping that he does that too. Don't know why I'm showing you multiple copies of the Pink Ribbon Ireland label. Then we're going to slightly liven things up. We've got Jethro Tull, but they're going to be doing their Songs from the Wood, Heavy Horses era stuff, so still keeping with that sort of folky, intimate vibe that we're looking for on the Friday. And then the big discussion backwards and forwards was between this artist and one of the artists now going to be on the Saturday. They kept flip-flopping because they can either do, both of them can either do a kind of laid back set, or they can kind of get a bit rockier. But we finally, you know, got them together, got the management together, got the agents together, and we agreed that PJ Harvey is going to do a more chilled set on the Friday, and I'm glad about that. So last year's Glastonbury Festival, I watched some of it on the TV, and I thought that PJ Harvey's set was absolutely beautiful, sublime. So I'm hoping that she does something very similar to that. So thanks, Polly, for agreeing finally. I mean, she was the deal maker in the end, to kind of broker that. So we've got PJ Harvey, and then we've got the headliner for the Friday, which is the DTF show. So the DTF show is, it's Denny, it's Thompson, it's Fairport. We've got them, so it's a mishmash with some Fotheringay and some, you know, Linda Thompson thrown in. There's going to be a real, all the hits with the beautiful voices and music that those artists, Sandy Denny singing, Linda Thompson singing, obviously Richard Thompson as well on guitar, and all of the other band members that have appeared throughout those acts. They are going to be the headliners, taking us into the wee small hours. So that is the Friday, and as I said, that's going to be a smaller set. So you know, luckily the my guests will get into that, because there's only going to be a few hundred. And then we've got the main event, which will either be on the big stage in Jamaica or in the clubhouse at the golf club. So kicking us off to get us going, we can start about midday, because I mean, we're probably going to have some sore heads from the night before. So starts about midday and it's going to go on to midnight. I've cleared that with the authorities. So kicking us off, we've got the B-52s, and obviously that will get us going, lively, energetic start to the proceedings, followed by Sparks doing, again, they're going to aim to do a lot of this Number One in Heaven era style music. And then we've got Roxy Music. They're going to start off with the glam stuff to keep the kind of mood up, but then they're going to drift into their sophisti-pop Avalon phase to just kind of, as the afternoon goes on, create a little bit of a chilled vibe, which Free are going to pick up on and do some music from this album, which is a very blissed out, I know it's blues rock, but it's quite a blissed out blues rock. So yeah, Paul Rodgers has promised that he's going to do a lot of that kind of stuff, and as are Traffic. So we're going to have a bit, I mean, you know, if the weather is hot, I think it's going to be great to have Traffic are going to be on around sunset, leading into sunset, doing some of their elongated jams of their sort of 60s and 70s, early 70s stuff, very much like they do on this album. and then once the sun is down, we're into the final 3 acts. So third from the end, we've got Grace Jones coming on. She is going to be obviously doing a lot of stuff from nightclubbing and warm leatherette. Isn't it? And then penultimate act is the one that we had the back and forth with PJ Harvey, and that is Tom Waits. You know, we had that discussion. Tom, do you want to do your sort of crooner, ballady, introspective stuff, or do you want to do your absolute rocking, mad, crazy stuff? And you know, I think PJ Harvey doing the chilled stuff and Tom Waits doing his rocky stuff is the way that I wanted it to go. So I'm really glad we could negotiate that. And then finally, I guess the place where it really kicked off for Island Records was when Bob Marley and the Wailers began that kind of really raise their profile. I know they've been going for a while, but I think their profile really went stratospheric once they got Bob Marley and the Wailers on board. And so yeah, great to have 1978 sort of era Bob Marley and the Wailers playing us out, I say, midnight and beyond, hopefully. I know this kind of I know the local chief constable, so I think we'll be all right. So yeah, Bob Marley and the Wailers to finish. So there you go. Apologies if I've missed out some of your favourite island acts there, but as I said, there's a chance that they may guest with other artists. So yeah, so who could come along to this? Well, you know, it's really hard to choose. There's 300 people can get into the Friday gig, so you know, I would probably say I'd bring along my entire all the channels I've subscribed to should come along, really, if they like Island. But if I had to choose 2, then I suppose I would bring along Rob Ison, because I know he likes a lot of stuff on Island Records, and you know, probably Gordon could come along as well, as he's given us this idea. Gordon should come along as well. I don't know if these artists will be in his wheelhouse. I suspect Bob Marley and the Wailers will be. So yeah, so hopefully you can make it. You can get tickets. If you can't get a ticket for the acoustic tent on the Friday, give me a shout and I'll try and sort you out with one. Okay, cheers VC, thanks, bye.